I'm going to go ahead and start. Give some folks some time to hop on. And I am changing out my regular free motion foot for my ruler foot. And we'll do a little ruler work on this piece. Always tighten up that foot with your screwdriver. And I've got to go in my settings and the ruler work. Let's see. There we go. Hello, hello. I see folks are popping on now. It's me, Amy, of Sew Simple of Lynchburg, a Janome dealer and quilt shop in Lynchburg, Virginia. I'm also the owner of amyquilts.com. And I've been quilting on this piece this evening in my Facebook page for the Amy Quilts side of the business. And I'm going to continue working on it, but I'm going to grab a couple of rulers and see about getting some of these teapots stitched. I've got to look at some of my rulers here. Got a mini. So these are all my rulers made for me by the Quilted Pineapple. And they are made specifically for domestic machines. So they are essentially the Quilted Pineapple's long arm rulers, but made in a slightly thinner acrylic because her rulers are amazing, but her long arm rulers are too thick for most domestic sewing machines. So we've got another option here with these, and this is a nice handy little one. What else do we have? We'll see. We'll see what we need. I have a whole drawer of them next to me. And it's always funny. I need to organize them, but you know, I get busy sewing and then I just chuck things everywhere. And then I can't find things. So what I want to do with this teapot here is we're going to give it a little curve right across here. I think that little one, the mini, be the perfect size for that, because that's a fairly small curve. Yeah, that's going to work nicely. And then it's got so much space to it for this teapot. I'm going to make a tea bag tag and just hang that out there. So just a little something fun. And let's get my gloves on. So I do see people are watching. Give me a hello or howdy. Let me know if you can hear me well enough, see well enough. Hey, Rosemary. Thank you for letting me know you're watching. So one of the things I did this week was I launched a pre-sale to my free motion quilting troubleshooting class. And I'll come back into the description after this video is over, and I will put the link in the description. Let's get that top thread in here. One drawback to the ruler foot. Gotta make sure that thread goes down through the foot. There we go. And there we are. I need to figure out where it is I need to start from. Should have done that before I put the foot down. So right in here to over in here. Yeah. And of course, there's always that 1/4 inch offset. And I'm going to get you guys in a little closer. There. And pull out my light on the machine. Whoops, that pushes the camera away. Let's bring that over just a smidge. There we go. Make sure you guys have plenty of light to see what I'm doing. And the thread is a light cream color thread, so a little harder to see than what I normally am doing on this channel. Usually I'm doing some teaching samples and there's a good amount of contrast, but this is actually a shop sample for my store, and this is just what looks best for it. So coming around that curve, making sure I'm getting that offset. And I don't want to pull my fabric directly back towards me because that's going to affect my tension. So there's my little teapot lid. And I'm just going to grab my little dual-ended marker. I use disappearing ink type pens. Fat one when I'm doing a video. A nice fine one for when I'm just quilting for myself with a nice fine tip, but you can't see this one very well for video. And we're just going to kind of draw this out. I've never quilted a tea bag before. So let's see. I'm just going to let it hang down. Lord, I hope that's a straight line. And put a little tag on there. What do you think? It might be a little big, but that's what the space really needs, I think. Square that out a little bit. There we go. I think that's going to look cute. So these teapots are fused on, and then they've got a nice little blanket stitch around the edge. And I like to not over quilt them, but at the same time, you can't just leave such a big shape totally unquilted. So I'm popping in with some details, just what I think it might be decorated as. And in this case, I just felt like I needed to do a tea bag tag. What do you think? I like it. Now, while I'm here, I could go ahead and I'm going to come around right in here, and I am going to pretend that there is a design that passes behind this. And let's zoom out a little bit, not in, out. There we go. So it always helps to be able to see the hand positioning for something like this. And I'm going to use my previous line of stitching up here to position this ruler, because otherwise I'm craning my neck to see behind and in front. And this way it's pretty straight without having to kind of try to look behind the machine. And let's drop down. And let's come back up just a little bit. All right. So just lining that up, making sure things look fairly straight. And if somebody's going to look at my quilt and go, hey, that's slightly crooked, I am going to tell them to take a flying leap. But we don't want it to be sloppy. All right, so there, and there, just checking my reference lines. And I'm going to keep my ruler straight here and come up. So there's a lot of rulers out on the market nowadays, and I got to tell you, I still love using pretty simple rulers. That's always been what I have used. I think I need to slide down a little bit here. I find that simple rulers give really nice results on a lot of things. Yeah, you have to think about it a little bit more, and they might be more geometric kind of designs. But oh, that went up into the teapot. I wasn't paying attention. Into the neck of the teapot. All right, that's going to get ripped out. I knew it felt like it was going way too far. Let's see. And this is totally up to me as to how my teapot is shaped. I'm just going to come back up here. We're going to give it a little attachment point for the spout. It's going to allow me to come back down here, and because I've stitched over it, I can stitch right back here, and then I'll trim that out later. And give it a little extra stitch as I come out. Yeah, I like that. And come down here. But I like basic curves because you can use them on so many different projects. They're just really versatile. Specialty shapes are nice, but you know, they have their place. So I always buy curves and straight rulers. Well, one good straight ruler, that's all you need is one good straight ruler and a couple of curves, and you can do a ton of stuff. All right, so let's cut that and take a look-see. So there's my teapot with its little tag. That looks good. Wish I hadn't stitched up into the spout. Oh well, that's what I get for talking and quilting at the same time. And I need to do some free motion right in here. It's a spot I skipped. So let's get you guys back over. Zoom you in a little bit. So I'm going to keep the ruler foot on. I don't ever feel the need to switch back and forth for my ruler foot. If I know I'm not going to do any ruler work, then I will put on my regular free motion foot, the open toe free motion foot, because the visibility is so much better. But I don't have to take it off the ruler work foot just to do regular free motion. And I feel like that is just a little low on my project right there, mainly because I'm in that seam allowance. You don't want the foot to drag on the quilts. And just head up into the ditch here. Give a nice little swirly here. And I'm going to come down, sneak back over here, and do a nice little feather shape. I love doing feathers. I think I'm addicted. They are like I don't know, they are the classic design of quilting. I'm going to keep these fairly short and wide, because that's what I've done on some of the other feathers in this piece. How's that angle? Let me know if that looks good. I'll have to double check the comments here in a moment. They don't stay up where I can see them very long. And if I'm watching my hands to do the quilting, I don't see them. You hear it get louder when it's in the seam allowance. Now, if you hear your quilting get louder and you're not in the seam allowance, you want to stop and you want to check what's going on and why is it getting loud all of a sudden. Let's see. Nope, no other comments. That's okay. But I would love to hear who's watching and if this angle works well, because I don't usually do such a light colored matching thread. Let's see, maybe a nice paisley shape. I like to use kind of this little ripple around some of my paisleys, and there's where my previous free motion's coming up. So come on up out of here, put a nice little curlicue in here, and then come out over here, put another one in. And just a plain pebble in here just to finish off that open space. Where do I want to go from here? I've got some more down here that needs to be quilted, so let's head down that way. Actually, I'm going to tie off my thread and cut my thread and go down there. So I need to remove those basting stitches. So I had a sample maker stitch this up for me for the shop, and she went ahead and threw it on her long arm so that it would be basted for me. I haven't decided if I particularly care to have it thread basted on the long arm. I mean, I appreciate that she did it, but then you have to pull the threads out. I don't know. I feel like I like using pins, but I know pins give a lot of people trouble. So, all right. So back to it. One stitch. I don't think I mentioned I'm using my Janome 15,000. It has a special ruler work mode in it so that I don't clunk my foot and my needle clamp together accidentally, which is wonderful. Come around this little swirl. I'm not feathering this guy, I just want to fill up that little area. Just changing up the designs a little bit. A little pebble right there. Come back up the ditch. Throw in a paisley. So there's no stitch regulator on this machine. It's just practice, learning what your machine sounds like and what speed, and a lot of practice. But I love free motion. It's a lot like drawing on paper, only instead of moving your pen, you're moving your paper. Nice large swirl here. Not going to be a feathered swirl, just a swirl. And up in that ditch just a smidge. My machine is telling me I might want to wind a new bobbin soon. I always ignore it. And then I feel stupid when I run out of bobbin thread. I'm sure I'm not the only one. And let's see. What do I want to make next? Do another swirl here. Bring it in. More feathers. So some people may ask, how do I move a bigger quilt around underneath my machine? And, you know, a lot of people will roll up their quilts. I never roll my quilt up. I always stuff and fluff. And what happens is you get these little wrinkles in here like this around the machine. You only need to keep the area where you're working flat, and the wrinkles act as a hinge. So kind of hard to show in this close-up look, but I've done videos on that before. Just going to do a circle right there. And we're getting right into the edge here. And I need to come in here and stitch down the ditch. This is where I could. This is currently my favorite straight ruler. It's been quite the search to find my favorite straight ruler. This is the Janome ditch ruler. It has these little tabs that help you stay right in the ditch. And I had one I loved for a long time, and then they recreated it. It had those little tabs to help you with placement. And when they recreated it, they took the markings off of it that helped you know that you were 1/4 of an inch away from the ditch, and basically kind of took away the usefulness of the tabs. So on that one, the tab went out another 1/4 of an inch, and there would be a marking right here. And, oops, a marking right here. The tab went out farther, and it had no markings. So this one, by ending it right where the marking would be, makes it a better ruler. Hey, Deb. I do not have a Supreme slider, but I have something very similar. This is called the Sew Slip Mat. I find that there's only one size in the Sew Slip Mat, and it's bigger than the small Supreme slider, and about the same size as the large Supreme slider, and the price is a lot better. So yes, I have a Sew Slip Mat on. It's the same kind of concept. I did cut out a hole for my bobbin case, and I rarely ever free motion quilt without my Sew Slip on my machine, because without it, I can feel every little seam in my between my machine and my table. Every little bump on the bed of my machine. And I love having that slider on there, or Sew Slip. I think the Supreme slider is probably the more commonly known, but they both do the same kind of thing. And let's see. Do I have any more background to do? I feel like I've already done all the background squares. I've got some strips I still need to do. I would have liked to have done another background square with you. So let me go ahead and stitch in the ditch up here. And then I will quilt down this strip. Now notice that I am stitching in the ditch here, or close to the ditch anyway, and I'm going kind of sideways. Going sideways gives you better looking stitches in free motion than going forward and backward. And it's just because of how the thread comes out the back of the needle, and also just the effect of our hands pulling on the thread, and the movement of our hands can affect our thread tension. So there we go. Got another one of those basting threads in here. Pull that out. The thread was sticking to my fingers on my gloves. So I am using Machinger gloves. They are my favorite for holding my quilt without having to really hurt my hands by gripping too hard. Some people will use little circles or paddles or what have you, and those are great. This just is what works for me. And let's go ahead and put in a nice feather spine. And I got to keep it over here to the one side because when I feather, I don't want it to get too close to the edge of my quilt because I don't want my binding to cut off my feather plumes. That is no good. Stay away from the edge. There we go. So I've already done one video on my Facebook page tonight, so now I'm having trouble remembering what all I mentioned, but I do have a new free motion quilting class coming available. Launches November 15th. And you can find that at amyquilts.teachable.com. It's called the Amy Quilt Free Motion Quilting Troubleshooter's Guide, or Troubleshooting Guide. And in it, we go over the basics because you can't troubleshoot something if, you're not all on the same page. And then we talk about a lot of the things that can go wrong in free motion quilting. So we can all see plenty of people making beautiful designs, but sometimes we need a little help when it comes to why a particular thread keeps shredding, or why it's hard to get the tension right. And so that's what it's all about, is trying to figure out how to get our best stitches, how to fix bad stitches and avoid having bad stitches. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It is available for pre-launch purchase right now. The cost is $49. And I think it's going to be a great class. It's a standalone class, unlike my Clubhouse where it's a monthly subscription. This is a standalone free motion class. You get to keep access to it after you've taken it. Let's throw in a little feather plume there. All right, I'm here at the corner. I think I'm going to go ahead and stop because I can see I've got some basting threads to pull out back there. And let's see, we've gone almost half an hour. So thank you for quilting along with me or watching while I quilt. This has been Amy Johnson of amyquilts.com, a Janome dealer and quilt shop in Lynchburg called Sew Simple of Lynchburg. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.